Today is August 8th, 2024. We are 2 days away from Molly Starr's finale of the device theory. I believe that this will mark the end of an era whenever it comes to theories surrounding specifically Chapter 2. I don't know how long that video is going to be or how much impact it will have on the overall course of this discussion or how complicated the theory itself is going to be, but I am extremely excited and I felt like I needed to get this out before this thing blows the game wide open. Right. I need to catalog some of my thoughts, some of my ideas, some of my feelings about the game. And I felt that this was the best way to do it.
Hello, my name is Jaru, and welcome to another Deltarune video. I wanted to just very quickly catalog 5 of my ideas and just get them out there. I've been sitting on this forever, and I've never had the will, the power, if you will, to just suck it up and make this video. I think this will serve as a good time capsule because I truly believe that this video is going to be monumental within the community. My first thing is isolation within the community. I love a lot of the people and theorists and ideas that we have come up with as a community, but I have realized, more and more than ever that the theory crafting and analysis of fiction is not the norm whenever it comes to fans of the scam. And I find that a lot of times, even if I'm at a, Undertale event like I was last year with the Undertale Cafe, I feel a bit alone because there is a lot of people who love these games for the humor, and it's cute and it's funny, and I absolutely adore these things, but it's not what draws me in. That's not what makes me a long-time fan, but it's really just the story and layers and deception and meticulous crafting really makes me care about this. And I feel like, especially whenever I interact with people in real life, anytime, Deltarune or Undertale is, comes up as part of the conversation, I just feel really isolated, and these parts of life, I find that it drives people away, or they're just not interested, or they've moved on and it doesn't take up so much of their mind as it does me. And that's honestly probably a problem with me, but it affects me, it affects the people who have talked to me, it affects who I can connect with. I mean, if somebody else loves the game but for different reasons, then I might look down upon. I mean, that's very, sounds very harsh, but I think to a small degree it's true. Them for not thinking so critically about their media, and then it gets like I'm just like propping myself up for no reason and just being a real douchebag, and I feel like it isolates me from a lot of the community, which sucks incredibly because it's already niche. Like, it's the most popular niche thing ever, but I feel like that point still stands, and it just I have a lot of mixed emotions whenever it comes to just like how deeply I think about these things, and and how some people just don't. I just wish I could connect with more people through this thing that I think is amazing. It says right here, idea train fades. That's worded very poorly. um, but I felt like, before I started thinking about this and constructing it, I had a million ideas. And I felt like I had noticed all these intricate things, and I had like this grand scheme as to what the game is about and what it's inspired by and what it really means. And as I sat down to start making this, I realized I can't remember any of it. And I know it's in there. And part of my goal is to record it. Segue into my third thing that I wanted to touch on was the general interest of the game within the community, right? Automatically, it's humor, right? Because it's hilarious and it's interesting. I feel like the like what people have discussed has shifted a lot. Initially, post chapter 2, there's a lot of questioning and like, who is Grace? What is this game? What are we playing? And I think that is one of the most interesting topics, and I feel like as a community we've moved on from that, and that's a natural state of progression, right? But I find that that's one of the most fascinating aspects of the whole character, like of the core of the game. And I feel like we've kind of moved past it in order to talk about more obscure things that of course matter, but I just don't connect with me nearly as much. From there, there's a lot of question of who the knight is, right? um, which is still a fairly discussed topic today, but I think it was a lot more relevant whenever people started looking into the text and they started questioning the things that were being said. The next push is kind of, Rousey mistrust and people who started to realize all of the suspicious things that Rousey was saying, and everyone kind of lost their minds because, like, there was such a gut connection. Like, Rousey is such a perfect encapsulation of how a lot of people, like, it. Rousey is proof that Toby Fox knows who his audience is, and he knows how to instantly connect with them on a gut level, because as soon as you see him, everyone goes absolutely crazy. Anybody who's not interested, you've lost him. He's connected with his audience, and that connection will stay there forever. And that is such a brilliant talent that I would love to understand better. Once people got over that initial just gut reaction of just fawning over this character, people realized how freaking weird a lot of his dialogue is. It doesn't fit in, and it's really obscure because, like, Darkners have knowledge of the light world, but it's very obscure as to how much knowledge they have and to what degree that matters, and where does the light world start and UI begin, and are those things intertwined or are they separate? And it's really hard for us as players to differentiate, and that makes this topic once again equally fascinating. But I feel like once people started, rethinking things that they automatically connected with, the like general viewing audience of these theories started thinking back and questioning things from chapter 1, and they started re-examining. We wouldn't have given second thoughts otherwise, and I think a large portion of that was because of how ridiculously suspicious Rouse is, and I think because of that we had to push to re-evaluate things. And that brought a lot of attention, kind of loops back around to Chris's plan and like him eating the pie. Not him, it's they, them. Sorry, don't crucify me, guys. Like plugging in the TV and eating the pie, and like it just the shocking amount of knowledge and power that this character has, which is really very unprecedented within these two worlds. We've never seen anything quite as visceral as what we've seen with Chris, and this comes from with a character that has no hearable or readable dialogue. That is absolutely insane. I cannot even express how much creativity and love and just and care and mastery that is just soaked into this character, that one of the most visceral and exciting and intriguing things comes from a character that doesn't even, we can't even perceive their conversations. We can't perceive how they see the world, and it just creates so much intrigue and tension, and it's just absolutely amazing. It really mind-blowing, and I feel like we floated into different groups of like people who just wanted to have fun, people who wanted to look at Toby's previous works, what his inspirations are, people who are just ready for the next chapter, like I feel, and people just into Gastery type of stuff. Like I feel like we really branched off and created our own little compartments in it. I don't feel like we've ever been as unified whenever it comes to our ideas, since, we were all thinking about Rouse, and we were all thinking about Chris, and we were all thinking about who the Knight is. Like, it's become very scattered. The reason why I feel like this video that Molly Stars is going to make is so important is because I feel like this is an opportunity for, before chapter 3 and 4 comes out, rallies us all together. We're off in our own little bubbles, people talking about predictions, people talking about the past, how many chapters there's going to be. I feel like Molly Stars is taking the community on this ride and really thinking about what is the meta narrative. That is what she is fascinated with. That is what that is about. And I feel like everyone who cares is going to be watching it, and everyone who is interested is going to at the very least know of it or hear what other channels think of that end product. And I feel like that's gonna, like, there's gonna be a surge of like, what is the meta narrative? And I feel like that's gonna be a special moment, and it is such a special thing. And I feel very strongly that this is gonna be one of the final times that we're gonna be united in this train of thought. I feel like it's gonna be a cultural event. I mean, maybe I'm putting too much stock in it. Molly Stars, if you're watching this, I don't mean to put so much pressure on you. That's just the excitement that I'm feeling in the moment. I wanted to keep this short. It's getting kind of long now. Predictions. People have a lot of predictions, and I want to keep this short. I think that chapter 3 could potentially have 3 secret bosses. Woody Theory isn't that crazy. It's kind of good. It makes sense if you think about it. The flowers makes a ton of sense. The flower secret boss, we get flowy stuff. Absolutely, that'd be baller. Some other third thing, sure, I'll take it. There's a an update where they're like, Toby's like, I'm working on 3 somethings and something 3 somethings. I'm working on it. You will figure it out later. I think that is potentially 3 different secret bosses for chapter 3. Okay, another prediction. Only one ending. I really, truly believe that there will only be one ending for Deltarune. I just that's how I feel. That's what's gonna happen. Predictions. Omega IC is real. It's gonna happen. It's such a good idea. It makes so much sense to me. It has a lot of relevance to Noelle's backstory. Um, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be real. It's gonna be amazing. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's real. That's it for my predictions. I'm moving on. There's 2 things I want to talk about whenever it comes to the legends. Part 1 is, where did this thing come from? Right? And really the only explanation that I've heard widely accepted is that it's from Gaster. Honestly, that makes perfect sense. I won't fault anyone at all if that turns out to be true. It just so happens that I kind of disagree with it. I don't think that would make a whole lot of sense, honestly. And I'm not going to get into why, because this video is long already. But I feel like a more probable thing, there was an amazing video by Guilty Flygon, I think. I think it was Guilty Flygon, that kind of went over some of the smaller details, like the teacup rides and the bake sale, and kind of had this idea that what was culturally relevant was also integrated into the Dark Worlds, regardless of what the items or themes were. And I think that makes perfect sense. I think that's brilliant. And I feel like the legend is the main plot of Gerson's version of the Lord of the Ring, or Lord of the Hammer, right? It's like, in our world, the Lord of the Rings is a massive book. Everyone knows. Bring the ring to Mordor. Even if they've never read it or watched the movies, I feel like people know that. Like, bring the rings to Mordor. The same thing in Deltarune, where that's the Lord of the Hammer is a very culturally relevant book. And if the plot of that is 3 heroes stop the big baddie, or 3 heroes lock away a great power at the edge of the world, I feel like that could be so ingrained into everybody's psyche in the same way that, like, Bring the Ring to Mordor, Evil Ring, is ingrained in our world. I feel like that story of the Lord of the Hammer, the legend is the plot of Lord of the Hammer. I believe that it makes a ton of sense to me. I think that is a more satisfying and interesting way of solving, like, where did the legend come from, than just saying, oh, Gaster told Rousey, right? That's what I think. And the second part of the legend that I wanted to talk about is, what is the angel's heaven? And really, I feel like, at least the videos that I've been watching, the idea is that Noelle is the angel, and that she will create a dark fountain which brings upon the roaring, which then we, the players, will have to seal in order to stop the roaring. Right? This makes total sense to me. I think that is perfectly believable. And if that happened, I would not be surprised at all. It would be amazing. I would be super into it. However, I do have an alternative idea that I do think could be very interesting as well. What if the roaring was so damaging and so awful and so life ruining that the angel from the Light World's religion looked down upon the world, and they're like, what the fuck? What is going on? They really fucked this shit up. And they, like, come down and they're like, we need to fix this shit, man. This is not what somebody fucked up here. And that would be, and like that is the angels' heaven, is that angels come down from heaven, they're like, we want to fix this shit. And it would be, the Delta Warriors either working in tandem with angels to stop the roaring, and then once the roaring goes away, then the angels are like, okay, I'm out of here. But it's like if things got so bad that they were like, okay, we need to divine intervent this shit, I feel like that could be integrated into the story in a very interesting way. And it doesn't have to be as direct as I'm stating it. Like, I make it sound like the angels came down to Chris and like, hey man, you need some help? We'll give you some, like help me stop this thing. Right? Which I don't really think that's how it's going to play out. But I do feel like if a version of that were to happen, I think Toby Fox could make it absolutely amazing and engrossing and to integrate, a lot of things into it. And I think that would be a very satisfying way to give relevance to the religion into the story. Now, the only reason why that might not be true is I think it takes a lot of focus away from Gaster and the Dark Worlds, which I feel like is a totally valid thing, but I feel like it could be done in a way that is just so excellently crafted as Toby Fox does. He could make a game about anything and make it amazing. And I feel like this is a very interesting possibility that should be considered. Finally, this YouTube video is really freaking good. Very original. Go watch it. Links in the description. See ya.